This is an instructional video on how we will use IXL to help students better understand science. Now, sometimes the topics that we will cover in IXL will be topics that we have covered in class, but sometimes they will not be. And that's okay, because IXL is not just to reteach what we've learned in class, but it is also to supplement the students' learning in science and allow them to explore other science topics, even ones that we have not covered in class. This will help prepare them for settings like the ACT. Now, I'm going to go ahead and choose a topic that we are not covering in class. Okay, this is the one I want, predicting heat flow. So this is a topic that we are neither covering in 7th or 8th grade yet, but it will show how, even if a student does not know the topic, has never learned the topic, they can learn it in IXL. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Notice that we've got 2 challenges. Our challenge is to answer 4 questions correctly in a row. So it says, 2 solid blocks are heated to the temperature shown below. The blocks are placed so they touch. Which diagram shows the direction of heat flow? Now let's pretend we had no knowledge of heat flow. So a student clicked an answer and got it wrong. Instead of just clicking the got it button and be like, oh, I got it wrong, let's just move on, a student can use this to learn about heat flow, even if they've never heard about it before. They would scroll down to the explanation. Here it shows the question and which one we answered. And then it gives a lesson. An object's temperature tells you how hot or cold the object is. Hotter objects have higher temperatures than colder ones. Think about 2 objects that have different temperatures. If the objects are touching, heat will flow from the hotter object to the colder object. And that is the lesson right there. And it gives us a nice little picture. So students, even if they've never seen this before, can understand that heat will go from the hotter object to the colder object. Well, what if the blocks were the same temperature? If the blocks were the same temperature and if they were touching, there would be no heat flow. So as you can see, because they're both the same temperature, heat is neither going one direction nor the other. So now it's going to give us an explanation for this particular question. And it will show that we had 2 blocks. One was 83 degrees Celsius, the other was 107 degrees Celsius. Based off of what the students had just learned in IXL, they will now be able to correctly predict the direction of heat flow. We'll test one more question just to make sure. So now we've got 2 more blocks, 244 degrees Celsius and 250 degrees Celsius. Now the students have learned that heat will go from the hotter object to the colder object. They simply need to identify the hotter versus the colder. So here they can see this one's hotter and heat is flowing towards the colder object. So we'd click this one and they would get it correct.